Hello, thank you for coming back and watching Mr. Doodlebug Journals. Today we are going to start constructing the center portion of our folio. So this is the prototype that I have for you. So we're going to have on these, we have 2 flips with pockets and journaling cards. And then we also have these 2 flips with belly bands and journaling cards. And then in this pocket, we have a small journal for extra journaling. And then here we have this little flip-up journal that has extra journaling. So we won't get through all of the decorating of this today. We're probably just going to construct the flips and the pockets and the belly bands, and then decorate them and make the notebooks in another video. So that's what we're going to do today. Hope you're all well. Today is Easter, so I've been cooking this morning and getting ready for family to come over for dinner. I'm excited for that. So I just wanted to show you what you're going to need for today. So you need a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. This is not the thick cardstock that I constructed the folio with. This is a 65-pound thinner cardstock. We don't want too much bulk. So we then are going to use this paper. This is by Debbie at Ink and Page. This is in her Archive 365 papers. And then this is another paper by Debbie. I think this one is in a pack called Lost Script. I think that's what it's called, but I'll double check. And then these papers all come from the Keepsake collage paper pack. So we've got this plain pink one. We have this damask for our background. We have the pretty florals. We have this pretty pattern. It's got some leaves and flowers on there. And then we have this. So I'm going to show you how we're going to use all those. And this is our blank canvas. Don't worry, you won't see that. I was eating dinner and cutting paper, and my dog was drooling over eating what I was eating, so that got wet, but you won't see that. This will be covered. So this is the center of the folio, the 2-inch spine and the 2 pieces that are 6-inch. That's where we're going to start. So the other things that you're probably going to need are Distress Oxide Vintage Photo, a dauber, your glue, a 2-inch hole punch, and your paper cutter. And I think that's it, but if I think of anything else, I'll let you know. So we're going to start by making our top flips. Those are going to be 5 inches, and we want them to fit fairly snugly in between these 2 pages. So we want to make sure that we can still flip everything without squishing the flips. So I think I'm going to go ahead and make them just a little bit shy of 5 7/8, kind of in between 5 3/4 and 5 7/8. So it's going to be 5 inches. So first we're going to get 5 7/8-ish. And then we want the length to be 5 1/2 because we want to have a tab to glue down. So we want 2 that are 5 1/2. Oh, you are going to need a scoreboard. Forgot that piece of equipment that we need. So I just want to make sure that these fit good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to score a 1/2-inch tab on each of them. Make sure I have that going the right way. Yes. Just go ahead and score that. And just fold in your tab. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's just getting glued down to the folio. So we can have one tab that sits here and one that sits here. Perfect. We're going to go ahead and cover them real quick. And for that, I'm using this for the background, and I'm using this for the front. So we know that it's just about 5 7/8 wide and 5 inches long. And I want to use this floral part. So just gonna cut that down at about, you don't want it to be too short. And that is not at all straight. Just gonna cut the edge off of that because it's not perfectly straight. It makes it hard to measure. So yeah, I had quite a bit up top there. Okay. So now we're gonna go with 5 7/8 and hopefully that lines up better. Then we're going to do the same thing with the second paper. You do have quite a bit of waste, but we can always use them on the scraps on something else. So there's that. And then we want it to be 5 inches long. And I'm going to cut some off the top and the bottom, because I want to make sure the flowers are the focal point. And we want that to be 5. That's just about right. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I hope everyone's having a great Easter. It's rainy here in upstate New York again today. Can't seem to get out of this weather pattern that we're in, so just kind of hanging out, getting ready for family to come over. I'm going to cut these two while we're at it. And we're having traditional ham dinner for Easter dinner. So we're having ham, twice baked potatoes, Like my mom's bringing some Brussels sprouts, and we've got some rolls. And then I made carrot cake cupcakes for dessert. So that should be good. I've been just kind of puttering around all day, doing stuff around the house. Cooking. Had to go grocery shopping this morning. Just the normal Sunday stuff. Just cutting that down a little bit because it's not quite straight. And then the last cut is going to be 5 inches. So those are going to be our covers and our backs for these. Just going to go ahead and ink around this. I finally uploaded my first video to YouTube, and that went pretty well. My daughter helped me. So that was fun. I'm going to just ink around these pages real quick while we're inking. And I think I'm going to get a new dauber because this one is falling apart all over my folio. So we'll go with a new one. I don't know what you guys use for these dauber pads, but I'm looking for something new. I think I mentioned in my first video, I got these on Amazon and they fall apart very quick. And they make a mess. So I'm going to see what I can find for new daubers next time. Still got a couple of these left. I use 2 different daubers. I use this little tiny one when I'm inking around ephemera. It goes in the creases better. And then I use this one just for everything else. These papers are beautiful. I love this. There we go. So I'm going to sew around the fronts, but not the backs. So we might as well just go ahead and put the backs down now. Make sure they fit. Might have to trim it just a little bit, but that's okay. I'd rather have it be too big than too small. And I'm going to go ahead and use this glue. I don't know where the weekends go, I swear. They fly by. Everything you have to get done before you go back to work. I would love nothing more than a 4-day work week. That would be wonderful, but unfortunately, that's not in the cards. I'm just going to push it down real good and get that extra glue off. Yeah, we have a little bit to trim, but I'm going to wait and trim them both at the same time. Oops, I didn't ink around this one. Probably won't see much of that, but if you do, it's inked and pretty. this one fits good. My daughter was laughing at me. She watched my first video and I was talking about the portraits that come in Debbie's pack, and I said, these people don't creep me out. She thought that was the funniest thing, but it's because a lot of people use the Tim Holtz people, and those are the ones that I think are kind of creepy looking. It's just personal preference, but she thought it was so funny that I said that, so I thought I'd explain why I said that. Some people, my mom loves the Tim Holtz people. I don't know what it is with me, but they're just not my favorite. A lot of people do like them, but I guess I like the look of more of like a photograph, which is what these look like. I'm just cutting that down so we don't have any overhang. That looks pretty good. We'll just ink around the edges where we trim them. But I think we'll do that after we get the front on. Perfect. And if you've never tried these tonic scissors, they're wonderful. They're Tim Holtz, and he has two different types. This type I use for all my fussy cutting. They're great. Your hands don't get sore. And these cut so straight. I've never been able to cut straight before, and those really work well. So I'm just going to pause you for a minute and sew around the fronts, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just stitched around these really quickly. Now, I was thinking while I was doing it, if you don't have a sewing machine, don't let it discourage you from making this folio. You don't have to sew it. It's not mandatory. You can do it without. Some people don't like to sew in their journals. It's just my preference. So please don't let it discourage you if you're not a sewer. It's not mandatory. Like Tim Holtz always says, you do you. Whatever works for you. You don't have to use the same papers that I use. You don't have to use any of the products that I use. It's all in preference. So I'm gonna put this kind of centered, because the other thing I was thinking about when I was sewing is if I have to trim around this, I don't want to cut off my stitches. And I want them to be fairly even. So it actually looks pretty good. Just has a little bit over here that needs to be cut down. Just gonna let it dry for a minute before I cut it. Tim Holtz has a lot of great videos out there. A lot of them have to do with his products and how to use them. And he's a genius, creative genius, seriously. I've watched a lot of his videos in my day. I also really like, well, obviously, Miss Paint a Lot. She's my favorite. I watch her videos over and over, and if I have questions, I'll always go back to and find one of her videos that explains something that I'm struggling with. But I've talked about Debbie at Ink and Page. She has some really good videos. And I also really like Crafty by Tony. She more makes ephemera type stuff than full-on journals, but she's amazing and she's really funny. So if you've never watched any of those people, give it a try. I'm just going to go ahead and ink around this one more time and then stick it down. I hope you guys all have family around for Easter, if you celebrate it. If not, I hope you're doing exactly what you want to do on this Sunday. Didn't get to see my grandkids today. My daughter doesn't live close. She's about 5 hours away. My son-in-law's in the Air Force, so they're actually getting ready to move again, and we're not really sure where they're going. So we're all kind of sitting, waiting to find out where they're going to go. But she sent me videos of Oakley with her Easter basket this morning, so that was cute. I was glad to be able to see that. So that one really didn't need anything cut on it, but this one does. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut down that edge. And then put some ink down on that. Just go all the way around it again. Especially that one that we just cut. Just gonna put this one down. Just line that up to the edge. Smush down your tab and then get any excess glue. These are just sewing clips. They work great for junk journaling. That is not at all straight. And of course I used my art glitter glue, which adheres right away. So we're going to do that again. This time, I'll make sure I'm not up over it. Sorry if you're looking at the top of my head. That's better. All right, so that is the top two clips done. Now we're going to construct the bottom two. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing. We're going to go 5 7/8, and we are going to do 5 inches tall, I believe. Where does that put me? Yeah, go with that. So I'm just using the other half of the 12-inch piece of cardstock that I had out. And we're going to go about 5 7/8. And then we're going to go 5.5 again for our tab. That's not right. That's not going to work because your 1/2 inch needs to be over on the side, because that's how that goes down. So I also have this piece of cardstock laying here, which is big enough. Is it big enough? Oh, it's like just barely big enough, which means I don't have room to put in my spine. So I'm just going to grab another piece of cardstock and be right back. All right, so I just have to say that technology is not my friend. I just went ahead and filmed cutting these down and then covering the backs of them like we did on the tops. And then I was going to stitch around these 2 panels and realized that my video stopped recording because the storage on my phone was full. So you did miss that part, but I'll just give you the measurements, and then I'm not going to re-record it because of that. I didn't lose a ton of footage, but these flaps are 5 inches long, and they are 5 7/8 with a 1/2 inch spine on the side. So these are going to go here. So you need to have your tab on your side. So it just looks like that. If you have any questions, let me know. I don't think I missed anything else. But I need to figure out the storage thing on my phone because I just got a new phone. I have a 17 Pro and I have 256, I don't know if it's gigabytes, megabytes, whatever it is, of storage. So I don't understand how it's full. So I will play with that tonight and see what's going on. I hate technology. It's like if it's not one thing, it's another with me. All right, so that is trimmed down. We're good there. Now we're just going to put these front pieces on. It's a pretty good fit. Just put my ham in the oven too while I was fretting over my phone storage. So frustrating. I've been wanting to do videos for quite some time, and I've actually recorded several and then either didn't like them or something went wrong. So I deleted them and started over again. I think I need to stop being a perfectionist and just kind of go with the flow because everyone has mistakes. All right, so I'm just going to let that dry for a minute before I trim that edge. And put the glue on here. Put that on there. Looks pretty good. A little bit of trimming on that. You guys will realize that I'm a Diet Coke-aholic. There will never be a time that there's not Diet Coke on my desk. Just gonna cut that down. string there that I don't want, so I'm going to get rid of that. This one's kind of crooked. Did get a little bit of my stitch on that, but that's okay. It still works. All right, I'm just gonna ink around these one more time. Perfect. Take the clips off the top. That should be dry. Uh-oh. We are a little bit stuck down. What did I do with my bone folder? I even went in there and wiped it after I put it down. Come on. It's really stuck down over here. Luckily, we're going to have a pocket there, so you're not going to be able to see that. And this just tore. I am a hot mess express today. Holy cow. So I'm just going to glue that down. You're not going to see that because we're going to cover the back once we get these flaps on. I think we're okay. And we're just going to go ahead and glue these down. Just want to make sure that we're on the inside of the seams so that everything flips and flaps properly. So I'm really excited. I already have my next project planned. For Christmas, I got Stamperia Furry Friends paper packs and ephemera, and I'm going to make a journal out of that. I love Stamperia paper. They're my absolute favorite. I've made quite a few journals with that, so that's going to be fun. I'm going to do some kind of different stuff in it. So I'm excited. I'm going to share that one with you guys too. And this one's glued down a little bit too. Not as bad though. I guess I did not wipe enough glue off. After I do this project, I'm going to do more of like a traditional journal with you guys. So I'm excited for that. I always get excited for new projects. All right, so we have our flaps attached. Now we need to go ahead and cut the backing papers. So I'm gonna measure it from here. And actually, I really need it to be 5 7/8 so that it covers this. I made that mistake on my prototype. So this is the paper that I'm using for the background. And I'm going to cut it 5 7/8. And 8 1/2, because that is how long the folio is. Hopefully those are the right size. The way my afternoon's going, I'm questioning myself here. All right, so I'm happy that it covers the whole hinge. It does need a little bit trimmed off over here, just a little whisker. But I don't want it trimmed on the top. You're not going to see that because there's going to be a pocket. So that's better. And then this one is actually pretty perfect. Might be a hair big on the bottom. Let's see. Yeah, just, again, the flap kind of shortens it a little bit if you don't have it perfectly aligned. There we go. That's good. So I'm going to ink around these. And I'm just going to pause you while I do this because you don't need to see me ink. All right, so I just went ahead, inked around the pages and stuck them down real quick. Pretty good fit. Everything still folds up okay. So I think we're good. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to use this paper. And we're going to make 2 gosseted pockets. And we want them to have the gossets because we're going to have notebooks in there, so they're going to get kind of bulky. So I'm going to go ahead and make them 5 3/4, 1/2 inch on both sides. So I'm going to cut it down 6 3/4. That has a little bit of white. Doesn't really matter because it's going to be hidden, but I'm just going to trim that down. Get that white off of there. Okay, so we have 2 pieces cut, and then we want our pockets to be I think we're going to go 4 3/4. So we want the bottom to be 5 1/4 because we're going to have the gosset on there. So 5 1/4 for both of these. Save your scraps. We're going to use these later. I have so many scraps. I think, so my mom and I do a craft fair every year. And I make cards and journals for that. And I'm just going to do a 1/2 inch here, just while I'm talking. So I sell cards and journals, greeting cards and journals. And I think I'm going to go through my scraps and make gift tags and maybe bookmarks to have at the craft fairs too. So I just have so many scraps. If anyone has any other ideas for what you can do with paper scraps, I'd be glad to hear them. I saw this really cool thing in Puerto Rico when I was there in February. This woman laminated paper and then made little purses out of it. It was so neat and so creative. I think she had earrings too made out of them. So much you can do with paper. I actually got my mom a bracelet that was made, the beads were made out of paper. So there's so many things that you can do with your scraps. I'm just not that creative. Just mitering these edges a little bit. Some people are just so creative. I also like to just trim the top of this down as well. Just get rid of this stuff so I don't make a mess. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put these together and we're going to find the halfway mark. So it's 5 3/4, which would make it about 2 7/8, I believe, would be about the halfway center mark. I just had to get a new 2-inch hole punch because my other one broke. So this is the first time I'm using it. And I like to open it so that I can line up my mark of where my halfway point is with that little arrow. And it does not want to go all the way through both of those. There we go. Boy, I am not having a lot of luck today, am I? Just gonna cut where it didn't cut out. So far, I'm not loving my new 2-inch hole punch. And these little pieces I'm going to keep for ephemera. I have this tub of ephemera that I've made in like neutral colors that I can use with everything. So I just throw any scraps like that in there. Just going to pause you for a minute and sew around the envelopes, and I will be right back. All right. So I just whisked around those with the sewing machine, and I inked around them real quick, and now we're just going to put them down. Going to make sure they're the right size. They look good. They're a little bit in from the edge. So I'm just going to do the bottom first so that I make sure I get it straight. And just take it and push that bottom tab down. That usually works pretty well for me, because once you get that firmly in place, the rest of it goes down pretty well. So I'm just going to do that on this one. And do the same thing. Didn't work so hot. That one's up too far, so I'm just going to push it down. Just about even. That looks good. I'm happy with that. Now I'm just going to put the glue on the sides. I'm going to squish it down really well because clips, you can't use clips on the side with this. So I do take one of my longer clips and put it up as far as it'll go, just to help hold it. And we'll do the same over here. Did get a little bit of glue on the underside of that, so we want to wipe that off so we don't stick it down. Should be my luck today. There we go. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to make a small pocket for here on both of them, and we are going to make a belly band for here. So for that, I chose this script paper, and there's quite a bit of white around this edge, so I'm just going to trim it off real quick. These pockets are going to be ripped pockets. So I'm going to make them 5 3/4 and just try to rip it right close to the edge. And I think we'll go 2 1/2. So 5 3/4 and 2 1/2. Use the bottom because I have a little white edge up there. What did I say, 2 1/2? Do I want it? I think I want it 2 3/4. And these do not have a gusset. They're just regular little pockets. All right. So those are going to go there and there. And then we're going to make 2 belly bands. So I'm going to make them 2 inches. So I want both of these to be 2 inches. Got the cutting done. Now I'm just going to go ahead and rip around all 4 edges here real quick. I like a nice torn pocket. I print my digitals on 110-pound cardstock, so it's not the easiest to tear, but it's not horrible. It's not like tearing craft paper, that's the worst. So I'm trying to keep it pretty close to the edge. because we want it to be pretty close to the same size as our flap. Pretty good. Don't love that you can see where that tore a little bit. But I do have a solution for that. I'm going to show you after I tear this. Sorry, this isn't very exciting watching me tear around this piece of paper. In our next video, we're going to go ahead and do all the decorating for this section, including making the notebooks. So that's what we're going to do next time. Okay, so there's that. I have some tape that I made. A lot of junk journalers have done this. It's just tape with alcohol ink. Someone calls it boo-boo tape, which I think is wonderful because I use it where I make mistakes. And I'm just going to put it over. I just put down a little glue because it's been sitting there for a while. And I'm going to do it on both sides so that they're symmetrical. And it's just going to hide my boo-boo. Can't think who calls it boo-boo tape, but someone I watch does. And it just gives it like a little bit of an aged look and hides that piece of paper that tore. It's one thing a junk journaler has to do is figure out ways to cover up their mistakes. And then for the belly bands, so it's 5 inches and we want to have 1/2 inch on both ends to tuck in. So I'm going to cut these down to 6 inches. And then I'm going to take these scraps, cut them in half so they're smaller, and put them in my ephemera stash. So those are the kinds of things that I throw in there. Now we're just going to score 1/2 inch on both ends of the belly band. Hopefully it fits. If you put this little gusset on there, it gives you more room for stuff under the belly band. If you don't put it, it's really tight. So that's the perfect fit. Sometimes you want it to be really tight. It just all depends on what you're going to put in your belly band. All right, just going to pause you one more time and sew around the belly bands and the pockets, and then we'll come back and put them down, and that's going to be it for today. So I'll be right back. Okay, so our belly bands and our pockets are all sewn around. And of course I had a problem with my sewing machine because that's how my day's going. But I did get them sewed and I did get them inked. And now we're just going to put these down. You're going to see on the back of this that my sewing machine really gummed up the sewing job. So I just put washi tape all over it so that the strings don't get in the way of anything sliding into the pocket. It's not my lucky day. So we're going to go ahead and put this one down. And you're really only going to see like a little tiny bit of that tape. But I didn't want the white to show. And then we're going to go ahead and put this belly band down. Kind of eyeball the center. That's really not the center. And I'm just going to put a couple clips on these. Perfect. And I'm just going to put clips as far in as I can on the bottom. Try to hold that down. Sometimes when you glue where you've stitched, things do not like to stick. So now we're going to do this belly band. And as close to the middle as you can make it. Looks pretty close to me. Actually, I'm going to switch clips because I want to have one for that side. Let me put this pocket down. See, this pocket looks good on the back. I ran out of bobbin, so that was the problem. So I had to fill my bobbin, and then it did not want to sew and made a huge mess on the back of that pocket. But I fixed it, so we're good. And I'm just gonna, oops, I just moved it. And try to get that in there. Put that one on there. And that's it, guys. That is the first part of the decorating of this middle spread. It won't take as long to do the rest of it. It's just this middle portion has quite a bit of stuff to it. So the next video, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna make the notebooks for here, the journaling cards for here. We're gonna put a couple of clusters on here, and we're gonna decorate the belly bands. So that's what we're gonna do next time. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and have a great Easter. If you're having dinner, I hope you enjoy, and I'll be back real soon.